is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to lockdown coverage, week number 13 in the National Football League. San Francisco 49ers taking on the Bears. Chicago Bears struggling right now. John Fox seemingly on the hot seat, and I think his job is all but done in Chicago. Foregone conclusion, I think, for the, what are we now? Fourth year, second time in 4 years, maybe third time in 6 years. The Bears are going to have a new head coach. Before him, was it Tresman before him? Maybe. But it seems like they've been switching coaches. Before Tresman, it was Lovie Smith. Tresman didn't last long at all. So I think Lovie, Tresman, and now Fox, all within like a 5-year span or so, I'd say. 6 years max. So they've been changing coaches like we changed draws in Chicago. So and same could be said for like the Cleveland Browns. But in any event, I read a story. I want to start off with a story before I get to this breakdown. And last week, after the Bears got embarrassed by the Philadelphia Eagles, I read an article in the Chicago Tribune, and it was about John Fox because I had seen something funny on the game. There was a fan there, a Bears fan there, that had a Firefox logo. And I thought it was so clever. And I think everybody else thought the same thing. Like, wow, that's a really neat way. And I don't ever advocate coaches getting fired, but it was a really neat way of saying, hey, we need to get rid of John Fox. And he didn't say anything. It was just a simple symbol. And if you knew what the symbol was, then he's like, wow, that's pretty neat. So I went in and I read an article that was talking about, the game, that symbol and everything. And it basically, the guy that wrote the article, he held no punches. He took the gloves off and he went to work on John Fox. And he's talking about how inept he's been and how bad this team is and how they're not being coached properly and how passive aggressive or just conservative John Fox has been. And I agreed with him to an extent. And I love John Fox. I think he's a really good coach, but there's not a lot of talent in Chicago, let's face it. But even then, you still got to be more aggressive than he's being. And there was a play in the Chicago Eagles game last week where it's 4th and like 3 from the Eagles' 40-yard line, 38-yard line, and he elects to kick a 56-yard field goal. Like, first of all, your field goal kicking situation is horrid. Number one, it's been bad all year long. Hell, it's been bad since you got rid of Robbie Gould. That's number one. Number two, it's 4th and 3. You think you're going to beat the Eagles with field goals? What are you doing? It's first quarter. You're in this game. If you're going to beat the Eagles, you're going to have to score 20-some-odd points to do it. Go for a first down. What are you doing? That's number two. Number three, you're the Bears. Go for 4th down. Let Mitchell Trubisky show you what he's got. In any event, he goes the conservative route, kicks a 56-yarder. Of course, he missed. The Eagles get great field position. The rest is history. They get their ass whipped. So he went off. And at the end, he says, well, at least, he said, Bears fans don't even have a reason to come out to the games. He said, well, at least next week, they can come to the game versus the 49ers and watch Robbie Gould kick the game-winning field goal. I said, man, that's crazy talk. I forgot Robbie Gould was with the 49ers, but that's crazy talk. It's not kicking a game-winning field goal. Get out of here. Robbie Gould kicked the game-winning field goal. That's crazy. But anyway, I said all of that to say this. Jimmy Garoppolo was great in this game. And I was dying to see the one interception because, let's face it, the star attraction of the game was Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, nobody cares about 49ers Bears, really. But now they're the reason to care about 49ers game for the remainder of the season. Because they got Jimmy Garoppolo, and everyone's dying to see what this guy looks like. Because guess what? At the end of the season, most likely the 49ers are going to re-sign him, but he's a free agent. So everybody's looking like, hey, is Jimmy any good? Let's see what he learned from Tom Brady. So everybody, all eyes are on Jimmy G in San Francisco for the remainder of this season. So 49ers games, must-see TV. So I was dying to watch this game to see what Jimmy G looked like, and I must say, Jimmy G was ultra impressive. He's always, this goes back to San Jose State. He's always had sneaky athleticism. He's always been able to move. So that's not a surprise. What is a surprise is they were running no huddle. Like, he had a command of this offense. They ran no huddle early in this game. And again, easy to run no huddle early when you script the first 15 plays. You go out and you know what's going on. But I just was impressed that he was able to command the huddle, get guys lined up correctly, knew the calls, able to get in and out of the pocket when need be. Very accurate balls for guys to catch within timing and rhythm of the routes and the timing and rhythm of the offense. I just thought everything looked fluid. And the one interception he threw, the Bears defender, Fuller, took the football away from the 49ers receiver. Took the damn ball away from the ex-Gator, ex-Buccaneer, he's been on like 27 teams, Ironhead. He took it away from Ironhead. His name's going to come to me, but I call him Ironhead. Louis Murphy. Took the damn ball away from Louis Murphy. Great play by Kyle Fuller. Great play. So I was like, damn, even your one interception wasn't your fault. So I thought Jimmy G looked outstanding. And this Bears defense, while it isn't the greatest, they're not garbage. They compete. So this was good work for Jimmy, man. And it's not like he's got the greatest weaponry out there in San Francisco with no Pierre Garçon. Literally, his best receiver right now is Goodwin, which is not saying much, but he's got some speed. And so they used every weapon on the football field. Kyle Juszczyk got the football. He's throwing it to the tight ends. He's working the receivers. Jimmy G looked good, man. Jimmy G looked good. There is future in San Francisco if they can re-sign this guy. There's something to look forward to. But I'll tell you what. For the 15 pass attempts Mitchell Trubisky had, I thought he looked good too. Problem is, Jimmy G threw it 37 times and Mitchell Trubisky threw it 15. John Fox has got to take the reins off this man's neck and let him play the quarterback position. What is wrong with you, man? It's not like your run game was killing the 49ers. What do we do? The man was 12 of 15. Granted, most of them were dump downs to his backs and short underneath passes. Let the man throw the damn football. Tariq Cohen continues to be a revelation for the Bears. That reverse the field punt return was stupid. It was ridiculous. He's a different guy, and he's going to be a playmaker for them for years to come. But there aren't many playmakers on that Bears football team right now. And I thought when they jumped on them 14-6, I said, okay, they got them. The 49ers, I don't know if they're going to be able to score a touchdown in this game. And I was right. They didn't. They field goaled them to death. And so that last drive, though, Jimmy Garoppolo taking them down the field and setting up the field goal for the ex-Bears kicker Robbie Gould. That's a thing of beauty, man. That was as good as gold, literally. To have him go home, and I know that was a big moment for him to go back against a team that cut him loose and drill the game-winning field goal against them. And Jimmy G in his first start as a 49er to lead them down the field on the game-winning drive. If you're a 49ers fan, the first of which many you hope happens in a 49ers uniform. I just was really impressed. And I love Kyle Shanahan. And I think any quarterback that he touches, he's got a chance to turn him into the next big thing because I think that highly of him. Much like Sean McVay, and I've told you this about great offensive minds, they take mediocre and make it good. They take good and make them great. They take great and make them legendary. And so Jimmy G looks good, and I think he can make Jimmy G great. And if Jimmy G's great, which we don't really know because we haven't seen enough of him, it's going to make him legendary. Kyle Shanahan's outstanding. He's an outstanding offensive mind, and really looking forward to seeing more of Jimmy G. So 49ers get the win. The defense did just enough. I'm glad to see guys getting healthy. It's good to see your first-round pick out of Alabama running around, Reuben Foster. I just want him to stay healthy. Good to see him running around, though, out there. You just want to see a lot of these young guys grow and gel together because there's so much young talent on the defensive side of the football for the 49ers. But they just got to stay healthy, and you got to figure out who can play and who can't. Weed yourself of the guys that are dead weight, pretty much like the new conglomerate of Lynch and Shanahan did when they came in, which was they got rid of all the guys they saw as dead weight. They didn't like Patrick Robinson. They traded him. They're getting their young guy, Ahkello Witherspoon, on the field. They're going to find out who can play and who can't. If you can and they see you as an asset, you'll be around. If you can't play or they don't see you as an asset moving forward, you're gone. And that's what I want to see them do. Purge this roster of dead weight. Get guys out there that love the game of football, that can help you win, and continue to grow this roster with young, talented football players. I think you've done that on the defensive side of football. Now I want to see you do it on the offensive side because there's not enough talent on that side of football right now. So, with that being said, not much to say about the Bears other than turn Mitchell Trubisky loose, please, for everybody's sake. You can't find out how good he is if you don't let him throw the football. All right. Let's get to some comments, if there are any out there. DC says, what's up, Louie? Have you seen enough from Jimmy to say that he's our future? Not yet. But I'm going to tell you this much. In Kyle Shanahan's offense, I find it hard to believe that he's not going to flourish and be a beast. I just find it hard to believe that because Kyle Shanahan is so good at what he does. I just find it hard to believe that if you give this man a full offseason under Kyle Shanahan to work with him, to get in his brain, to get him trained up the way Kyle Shanahan wants him to be trained up, to have him thinking like Kyle Shanahan on the field. You saw what Matt Ryan did. He won the MVP under Kyle Shanahan. You saw what Billy Ho looked like in Cleveland under Kyle Shanahan. RG3 won Rookie of the Year under Kyle Shanahan. Kirk Cousins' belief that he could play in this league came from Kyle Shanahan. He is the man. And Jimmy G is talented. He has all the tools necessary to be the next big thing in San Francisco. So there's not a doubt in my mind that he can do it. But I can't sit here and tell you that he's the guy because I need to see more. But I've seen Kyle Shanahan turn Billy Ho into a winning quarterback for a half a season before he got hurt. I know what he can do. And I know what he's capable of. And Jimmy G, I think, could be the guy. So, after seeing him in this game, I want to see more. But I was impressed with the initial performance of Jimmy G in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Brandon Sullivan, my man B. Sully, says, I follow a Bears fan on YouTube, and he hates Fox, never wanted him. Knowing you like him, and I do as well, maybe we missing something. I think management is to blame as well. Fox is conservative by nature. He was conservative in Carolina. He was conservative in Denver with Tim Tebow. He's conservative by nature. That's his MO. He's always been. He's a defensive-minded guy. He'd much rather win the game 13-10 than 33-30. That's always been John Fox. That's always going to be John Fox. The problem is you can only win games that way if your team is good. They're not good in Chicago. There's not enough talent on defense. There's not enough talent on offense. So while you may beat Pittsburgh 20-17 in overtime, and that's nice, and you can get those every once in a while, you're going to lose a lot more games than you win because you just don't have enough talent. I like John Fox. He's a good coach. But He's not a coach that's going to succeed if you don't give him enough talent. He's not one of those coaches that takes a much to do about nothing roster and turns them into a winner. He's not good enough to do that. DC says, out of 4 teams, Browns, Giants, Bears, Niners, which teams do you see getting the better record next season? Well, I got to see the offseason for all these teams and what they do. First of all, of the teams you just named, Giants, Bears, 49ers, Browns, I love the only team that has an infrastructure that's built to win is San Francisco. The Bears, their head coaching situation seems like it's up in the air. Their GM, Ryan Pace, hasn't been good since they brought him on board from New Orleans. So he may be out after this season. I don't know there. The Giants just fired both GM and head coach. So they're going to have a brand new brass for the first time in over a decade. The Browns, they're a mess every year. So while I like Sashi Brown and John DePodesta and the fact that they've stuck to one philosophy, it's still not working in Cleveland right now, and they still don't have a quarterback. So obviously, of those 4 franchises, the 49ers seem best equipped to move forward next year and be competitive, where the other teams seem like, and really the Giants aren't that far off. You know, you pick the right guy to be your head coach, you get the right GM in there. If Eli sticks around, they've got enough talent to turn around and win 10 games next year. So of the 4 teams, if the Giants do it right, it's probably the Giants. But after the Giants, really the Giants shouldn't even be in this conversation because they had a bad year, but they had a bad coach, man. They got a bad coach and a bad offensive line, and if they can fix that, sort of like what the Vikings did, and it's not easy to fix your offensive line in one offseason like the Vikings did, but it can be done. The Giants can be a good team next year. The Bears aren't going to be good next year. Neither are the Browns, I don't think. The Browns defensively, though, have actually been pretty good this year. It's the offense that just can't get it together. But nonetheless, I'd say Giants, Niners, Browns, and then Bears, if I had to pick, in that order. And depending on what the Bears do in the offseason, I might elevate them over the Browns. I mean, at least the Bears have won 3 games. The Browns still are winless. So, John Niner says, Jimmy G, do you think he could be the next big star QB? I think he's got the potential to do it. I think he's got the pedigree coming from New England, learning from Tom Brady. I think he's got the temperament. I want to see him stay healthy because in the one stint he had in New England, the one chance he had to play, he got injured. So I want to see him stay healthy. I want to see him run Kyle Shanahan's system and offense. I want to see him drive the football down the field. I want to see him make the big chunk play throws because in Kyle Shanahan's offense, there are a ton of 15 to 25-yard throws in there, deep digs, corners, things that are going to come available because of the cohesion of his offense and the way he sets things up with play action fake in the zone run blocking scheme and the stretch run game. Opportunities for shots are going to come available. And when Goodwin is streaking down the field 45 yards, I want to see him hit him down the field for a 70-yard touchdown. I don't want to see him miss that. I want to see him hit that. So there's some things I got to see from Jimmy G, but he's got all the makings. Soundwave says, so John Fox is gone. Bears fans are going to riot if he is there next season. He's gone. I don't think he's going to be back. B. Sully says, signing Glennon, drafting Trubisky when wide receiver number 2 is your main need. Then after preseason, it's your number 1 need. Playing Trubisky without giving him time, a disaster of a year. I agree. I can't disagree with anything you just said. And, I mean, maybe they knew Glennon wasn't the man for the job. Maybe they figured that out in a short period of time from giving him the deal to the draft. Whatever the case may be, or maybe they just felt like Trubisky's a can't-miss prospect and we got to have him. There were much bigger needs. And the fact that you gave away valuable draft picks to move up one spot. If I'm you, I forced the 49ers to make the pick. I called their bluff. Okay, make the pick. Take Trubisky. Make the pick. I'm not going to give you anything when I'm on the clock next. If you're going to trade that pick to somebody else, be my guest. Give it up. I'm not moving from 3, and if I don't get the guy that I want, fine. But I'm not trading away my 2nd, 3rd, and all those picks because I need those. We're not a good enough team to be giving away picks early in the draft. So I didn't love that situation. John Niner says, that makes me nervous if we don't have a deal done because we don't need a Kirk Cousins situation. Well, it won't be that bad. If you guys like what you see, you've got the cap space, you'll sign him. I don't see that being a problem. And it's not like Kirk Cousins' situation where Jimmy G's going to have a body of work, a full season, leading his team to the playoffs, and setting a franchise record with over 4,000 yards passing. If Jimmy G lights it up down the stretch, let's say he goes 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and that's a lot because right now as a 49ers quarterback, he's got 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So you're telling me in a final 4 games, he goes 12 over 1. That's insane because that's averaging 3 touchdowns a game with no interceptions, essentially. But let's just go with that crazy, far-fetched premise that he goes 13 over 3, which means he's lighting it up to finish up the season. Even with that being said, and he's not going to do that, but even with that being said, he's still not going to command the kind of money Kirk Cousins was looking for after his you like that season of 10-6, 9-7 in the playoffs and winning the division. He's going to get a good deal. It's Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's not going to get a back-breaking deal, which is why I think you traded for him. So it should make you nervous that you don't have a deal in place, but it should make you nervous. It shouldn't make you nervous because you got to make sure he's the right guy first before you extend that deal to him. The worst thing you could have done was trade for him from New England and blindly give him a 4-year, $80 million deal with 49 of it guaranteed. That was the worst thing you could have done. And then he turns out to be Brock Osweiler Part 2. So the first thing you need to find out is he good? Does he fit Kyle's system? And if he checks all the boxes off, then you resign him. The Soundwave 92 says, Jimmy might be legit. Made Marcus Goodwin actually, his name is Marquise Goodwin, actually looked good out there yesterday. Had some serious poise and accuracy on all of his throws. Guy acted like a real leader out there. I felt the same way, Soundwave. Felt the same way. I left the game impressed and said, wow, there's zip on his football. It's extremely accurate, but there's touch on the ones that need to have touch so that it makes it a nice catchable football. And I thought he gave his guys opportunities to make plays after the catch, which was just as important as being extremely accurate with the football, is giving your guys a chance to be accurate, being accurate, but in a position where they can catch it and not break stride and run after the catch. Thought he was outstanding. Soundwave also says, wait, here we go. Would you say Trubisky's development is actually getting hindered in Fox's offense? Guy needs more confidence by throwing the ball some more. Well, they don't have a lot of targets, so I understand not having him go out there and rip it 33 times. But, I mean, he's had a game this year where he threw it 12 times. Like, I think he went 7 of 9 in one game or something crazy like that. Like, there was a game where he threw it 9 times or 10 times. Like, 4 quarters. Like, 9 pass attempts in a game this season. Crazy. But I get it. The offensive line isn't the greatest, and they just sustained another injury to one of their better offensive linemen in Long. So I get it. You don't want to put him back there. And the worst thing that you could do is get him beat up behind an offensive line that can't protect him and have him lose confidence that way. But at the same time, they don't have any weapons. So it's a catch-22. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think his development is being, if you're gonna play him, play him. Like, don't take the reins off of this man. If you're gonna play him, play him. Don't have him out there and be protecting him and you still got bubble wrap on him. Let the man. If you're gonna cut him loose, cut him loose. Let him play. That's how he's gonna learn. B. Sully says, I think Jimmy will be the next evidence of letting a young quarterback watch and learn and then see them succeed. If a Hall of Famer is in front of you, shut up and learn. Sort of like Aaron Rodgers. DC says, this game could have been 35-7 if we converted all those red zone attempts. That's the difference between good teams and teams trying to figure it out and bad teams. And so 49ers, they're 2-10 for a reason. Because, like you said, they didn't have to – 35-7 is the best possible scenario. That means they went 5 of 5 in the red zone. Let's just go 3 of 5. You win this game 27-7. That's just as good. 27-14. That's just as good. But you went 0 of 5. The son of 5 field goals. So, I mean, in the last one, you were looking for the field goal. You weren't looking for the touchdown. So I don't really want to count that one. But the first 4 times, like, damn, can you get in the end zone or what? John Niner says, what do you think of Reuben Foster? I just want him to stay healthy. I've said this a number of times. I love his speed, but he's got injury concerns. If he could just stay healthy, the guy is a savage. I think he's going to be a really good sideline-to-sideline linebacker in this league, which is what the 49ers need. But he's got to stay healthy. Dominic Garden says, why did the 49ers get rid of Bowman? He was getting up there in age. He wasn't the same effective player. And like I said, they're going young in San Francisco, ridding themselves of contracts that don't make sense, players that don't fit what they're trying to do. If you're old and you're taking up a roster spot and playing time for another guy, you got to go. And that's what's going on in San Francisco, and I love it. You know, out with the old, in with the new. We love what Navarro Bowman has done for this franchise, but since the knee injuries, he's not the same guy. And it's one thing to have leaders on the team, locker room guys, et cetera, but it's another thing to just say, all right, look, let's get these young guys learning how to play with one another. Let's get a young nucleus in here, and they can learn to win together, and that's what they're doing in San Francisco. And unfortunately, Navarro Bowman wasn't a part of their future, so they moved him. John Perez says, should Ryan Pace be retained as GM despite the fact it's too early to call Trubisky a disappointment, or have the Bears had enough of him because of his inability to draft? I think the jury's still out on Ryan Pace, but I will tell you this much. It has been a disaster since he's gotten there via the draft. And he needs something good to happen for him. And if I'm the Bears, he might get one more year. And he needs to draft well. And I'm not really too excited about what I've seen from Ryan Pace thus far. And so I said it at the top of the show. He may be a casualty. He may be on the hot seat. He may be in the crosshairs along with John Fox. John Perez says, did the Bears make a mistake cutting Robbie Gould? He was struggling a little bit when they cut him, but yeah, they made a mistake. Kickers go through that sometimes, and you got to let them work their way through that. But Robbie Gould was one of the most accurate kickers in Bears history, and he was going through a little bit of a phase. And yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the Justin Tuckers of the world, the Dan Baileys, the young Jeezys of the world, guys that are booming them from 55. And you look at Robbie Gould, and he's probably not kicking any 55-yarders anymore. And his range is probably more like 51, 52 at best. But he's more of a 40 to 49-yard guy. But there's something to be said about a guy that you know what you're getting from him. Robbie Gould was that guy, and they're paying for cutting him. They're paying for it. All right. You guys are lighting me up here. Let's see how long this video is. We're approaching 30 minutes, so I'm going to answer a couple more and we're getting out of here. Let's see. John Perez says, do you like that young 49ers defensive front with Reuben Foster, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Solomon Thomas? That could be a dangerous defense for a while if they all stay healthy. The jury's still out because I'm still trying to figure out what they're doing with the defensive line. Like, they still don't have a true pass rusher. I'm waiting for them to get that guy. And while Buckner and Armstead are nice pieces, and I think that those guys can be beasts. Thomas, I think he's going to be just fine. They still don't have a legit edge rusher. Like, it's great to have all this interior pass rush. Where's your edge rusher to make it all come together? They need to get after the quarterback. Brandon Sullivan says, it was 4 of 7, even worse than what you thought. Yikes. DC says, how about my boy Trent Taylor? What you think about him? I broke him down during the draft. I told you I think he's going to be the next big thing as a slot receiver in this league, and he's going to be a great punt returner. So he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's another guy that just has to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, sky's the limit. He'll be for Jimmy Garoppolo what Wes Welker was for Tom Brady. John Perez says, I really hope Kevin White gets healthy and does well for the Bears next year. Guy could be breaking receiver records right now if it weren't for his injury problems. I just haven't seen it when he's been healthy. That's the scary part about Kevin White's situation is even when he's healthy, he looks like a bum. He looks like he doesn't get it. And remember, he came from an offense at West Virginia where it was bubble screens, tunnel screens, slants, and go routes. He didn't run routes. Everything was easy set up for him to just make big explosive plays. And he looks like he's had a problem adjusting to an actual route tree and concepts and understanding when to sit down and zone and when to continue running through man coverage, and just been really disappointed with him. Soundwave says, what would you say that the 49ers could make a playoff berth next season if they played their cards right after this season? In order for them to take that large of a step, Jimmy Garoppolo would have to not only be re-signed, but he'd have to take a massive step forward like Jared Goff did in Los Angeles. And to take it a step further, the defense would have to come alive and be as good as the Rams defensively have been this season. And I'm putting that on your coordinator. You need a pass rusher, and then Robert Saleh is going to have to start getting these boys to play ball. Wade Phillips is the man. That's why the Rams are playing the way they're playing, is because they got a genius on offense and they've got Wade Phillips on defense. Put those two together, and you've got a combination for what you've seen from the Rams this season. Now you got Kyle Shanahan. You need your defensive coordinator to step his game up, or you need to find a proven guy with a track record to come in there and whip that defense into shape. If Robert Saleh isn't that guy, then you got to move on and find that guy. So we're going to see. And finally, DC says, I feel like Trent Brown and Joe Staley are healthy. They boost our offensive line tremendously. Obviously, when your offensive line is healthy, it's going to make everything a lot easier. You're going to have better protection up front. The run lane, the rush lanes are going to be there. You want continuity with your offensive line. When guys are going down to injury, it's hard to build that continuity, and it's hard to feel comfortable behind your offensive line, and it also impacts your play calling. Because when you trust your offensive lineman, you can take those shots down the field. When you don't, you're a little bit more conservative and reserved in what you call for your quarterback. So, in any event, that was a great discussion from you guys. 49ers get the win. 15-14. Late second field goal by Robbie Gould as he helps defeat his ex-team. And the 49ers get their second win of the season. And just like these two teams meeting last year, that win determined who had the second and third pick in the draft. That win by the 49ers, remember the Bears won last year, could ultimately decide who has the number 2 or 3 pick or 4th or 5th pick in the draft. So we'll see what happens with draft status because of this game. But you know how I feel. I want to win. I don't give a damn about draft stock, status, none of that. Win. 49ers won. And that's what they're trying to develop in San Francisco, a winning culture. And the only way to do that is to win. And that's what they did. 15-14 over the Bears, who dropped to 3-9 on the season. Looks like the end is nearing for John Fox, possibly GM Ryan Pace as well in Chicago, as they continue to lose games, as they lose to the 49ers, 15-14. Going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage, but I'm not done yet. Still got more games to break down, if you can believe that. So don't go anywhere. More Lockdown Coverage coming your way next.